We are less than 200 days away from the Champions Trophy. We're just about there. And here we are in terms of the preparation. Sri Lanka versus India, the first one international, the return of Roht, the Gambhir era in terms of the 50-over format starts now. My name's Avanish in this black, wearing a cap. And there's another man wearing black, but not wearing a cap. Somesh joining us from, of course, beautiful Amsterdam. And Nikhil Popper as well, who's just seen the toss, Nikhil. And we know what's happening first up. Sri Lanka have decided to bat first. And what's been humid, we've seen it right now with Roht sweating his face off at the toss as well. Your first thoughts, Nikhil, before I get to Som?
The Shivam Dube playing, that is something that immediately caught the eye, and rightly so. Again, supposedly the backup to Hardik. So looking forward to see what Shivam Dube does on a dry deck as per Sri Lanka. Again, Sri Lanka are almost not having any pacer, so to speak. So you expected them to have a dry deck only as a one to go ahead with. And historically also the venue has supported spinners more. So very interested to see how that works out with India.
Are you happy with the toss results, Som? Because this is the first ODI India playing after what feels years, but I think December 21st, 2023, the one in Pal against South Africa was their last ODI. But now here we are building up to another grand tournament, like I said. What's your first impressions of this ODI series, let alone what's going to happen?
I think ODI is one format where there is not a lot of debate that is to happen, because it is the format which I feel is the spots are mostly fixed. There is no real contention, so to speak. I think I'm still waiting for the clarity on whether Pant or KL, who among them is playing, because if Dube is playing, I don't think there is room for both. So still waiting for it. That's okay. So that, yeah, so I mean that sorts it out. So it's pretty good to see that India is sticking to the boys that did so well in the 50-over World Cup. So like I said, I mean it's pretty straightforward. I mean if you build up to the grander scheme of things, there is only one spot which would be up for grabs if, let's say, Shami is not able to sort of keep his peak fitness to the 2027 World Cup, because he's a fast bowler after all. Then maybe it brings in Arshdeep into the mix and he's playing in the 11. But apart from that, pretty settled and everything is expected along the expected lines.
Yeah, let me just confirm the 11 for you guys joining us right now. So Roht Sharma will open and, of course, captain as usual. His partner in crime, Gill. Then Virat returns, 1 down. Shreyas, 2 down, who was prolific in that World Cup as well. KL to wicket keep, so there's no punt today. Then Sundar at 6. Shivam Dube at 7. Filling in potentially for Hardik is what Gambhir has also said, a backup. And I don't know how that makes sense. And we've already said it on this particular space before. Akshay Patel then. At 8, Kuldeep at 9, Arshdeep and Mohammad Siraj. So it's good to see Kuldeep back in the scheme of things, because he's been literally on top of his game in all formats for India. So let's go piece by piece then and just understand those two big questions, because Shivam Dube, whether he'll bowl or not remains to be seen. We all thought that they could go with Parag with the recency bias over there. So Som, do you think now, how can Shivam Dube vindicate this particular selection?
See, I think first and foremost, the obvious thing that he should be bowling. Otherwise, I tough to see him making to the 11s just on the basis of his batting moving forward. It's going to be really, really tough. Second thing is, I agree to the point that if you look at man on man, I think in the last month or so, Riyan Parag has done a lot more than Dube to warrant a place. But you got to understand that India are already playing only 2 pacers and they have a lot of spin options. So maybe they just wanted, or Rohit the skipper wanted one more medium pace option in case they need him. That's the only reason why I feel that he might have picked Parag in the 11 today.
In fact, jokingly, Scott Styris has asked Roht Sharma at the toss saying, will you ever bowl in this ODI series? And he was like, no, we have options plenty. Next, what are the options plenty if you look at that team right now? Because, yeah, we have literally 5 bowlers, potentially 6 being the Shivam Dube option. Shreyas Iyer apparently was bowling heavily in the nets prior to this game. We know Virat can do Virat things. So are we actually going to see these guys roll their arm over? Shreyas, for example?
Yes, Shreyas, I think so. I don't think the wrong-footed in-swinging menace is going to take up bowling again, and doesn't need to. As you rightly said, five options, and importantly, three spinners. Three spinners who've been in good recent touch. Kuldeep has been doing Kuldeep things. Sundar, hopefully he can continue to do. See, if it's a day game, this is the best daytime. This is the best time for them to extract whatever there is there in terms of dryness from the wicket. So I expect all three to bowl. I'm looking forward to see Shreyas bowl because it's going to be a very tough spot for 4 and 5. Because if KL continues to keep and do well, then Shreyas is it will end up being the sacrificial lamb. Okay, bhai, you don't bowl. Yes, you are batting at 4, but okay, we need somebody to hit spin. Maybe they could slot in a Riyan Parag there. So I don't want that to eventually happen. So for that, if Shreyas can continue to perform with the bat, of course, great. But with the ball, a few overs here and there. Because to me, Riyan Parag's control was excellent. And that is something that I take a lot of heart from. That we saw Abhishek Sharma bowl in the Zimbabwe series. Riyan already looks like he's bowled a lot, and that in itself is a very good sign for India. So I think I don't expect any other experiments. I don't see Rohit or Virat bowling the last over. Hopefully, that is never going to happen. So traditionally, five bowlers, Shivam Dube in the middle overs if need be.
Okay, let me ask you this, Som, because Gambhir has almost said Hardik Pandya is our first choice all rounder, and then we're trying to make Shivam Dube in that similar mold. I'm thinking Shreyas Iyer is anyway a fix in ODIs at number 4, and if he turns his arm over, brilliant, and then Riyan Parag can be his understudy. Did you not be surprised with Riyan Parag getting the nod just because of more turning track and Dube is just not bold, let alone 5 overs or 4 overs? So how do you make sense of that decision?
So, see, I think the conversation in ODIs is completely different from the conversation in T20s. If you look at the ODIs, of course, there is this Champions Trophy. But again, the thing that you should be building towards is the World Cup. And World Cup is not in India or any of the subcontinent. It's in South Africa, where you can't see when India get the option of playing spin all-rounders. You see India have pretty much batting till number 8 and a lot of bowling options as well. And this is precisely why they have done so well in tests in subcontinent as well. But when it comes to ODIs and specifically if the World Cup is in South Africa, they won't have this luxury. They'll have to play like 3 frontline pacers and all your best top 7, 8 pacers, none of them bat. So what becomes interesting is that you need some options in the middle order who are your medium pacers, so that you can play around a bit. And that's the reason I feel that Dube is being sort of catapulted ahead. So that there are options in the medium pace department. So I mean, if Dube does well, both Hardik and Dube can be part of the 11. And this is where the pressure is on Iyer, like Nikhil said, कि भाई bowling करनी पड़ेगी. And it's a good change.
But this is where I think they've missed a trick. I personally would have chosen Dube to do this particular role and be an understudy to Hardik in T20s. But in ODIs, throw in someone like Nitish Kumar Reddy, who's bowling way faster than someone like Dube. So that's how I would have looked at it. Before I go to Nikhil's thoughts about holistically what could happen in this match and the pitch out there in Colombo, because it's even Stevens in terms of batting first and chasing at this venue, at least in the last 5 years. So Harshit Rana was a name doing the rounds. Obviously, Gambhir, seen him in close quarters in KKR. Everyone thought that he could play a part. Do you think he'll play a part some point in time in this series?
Absolutely. I think not in this series, maybe in this series as well. Once the series is locked and loaded, and if Siraj or Arshdeep have like gone 2 good games, they've already locked their place for the future tours, then it might happen. But see, even right now, the priority would be just to get the series in the bag, which by now we should assume that every coach captain will have that as their first priority. So, and right now, what Rohit said, the pitch, they're expecting to slow down considerably. So there was not a lot of room to play a lot of pacers. They had to have a spin-heavy lineup. But after this tour, whenever India play teams on truer wickets, I think I'd expect proper 3 pacers to play, and that is where opportunities for Harshit Rana might come into the picture.
Let's see how that goes forward, especially with the weather being a narrative in this ODI series. Nick, any other suggestions that you would have liked to seen been implemented with a pretty much blank canvas for Gautam Gambhir in this ODI era? I know there's big tournaments coming up, but what does he really need to get out of this team in this series, you feel?
Me, I think it's more to do with a couple of individuals. I'm very very interested to see how Siraj grows. I've
Hmm.
said this in the past and saying it again. Maybe my expectations are very high, but I want him to start developing into a leader of this attack because far too often we see him being pigeonholed as a guy who can do one thing. I don't want him to be the guy who does only one thing. Like even in the 30-20, see he bowled 3 overs up top. I have no problem with it. I like that approach. Okay, use him best in the power play. But that surface was dry. You could have bowled cutters, but he kept bowling pace right through. Maybe it was a plan to use the seam. We don't know. But that's where I feel that growing of Siraj, as in like in terms of the second stage of Siraj, has to come through now. That because Bumrah will be rested right through this upcoming time because there is a lot of important tours coming up. So Siraj's development is what I'm looking forward to from Gambhir's point of view, and so is the case with Shreyas Iyer. A lot has been said and talked about Shreyas Iyer's problems and whatnot. If he can continue to be the guy who can step up under pressure, take spin on, yes, the World Cup is in South Africa, but if you're going to play ODIs elsewhere, you'll have to still do well. So I think it's these two individuals that I'm really looking forward to. Shreyas Iyer completely shutting down all the noise. Okay, I'm here. You cannot drop me. I will score runs. And Siraj. To me, I think Siraj, I feel, is a far, far important player at this point of time, and you need him to come good as a complete bowler very soon.
Yeah, Siraj was, of course, part of that absolute annihilation of Sri Lanka the last time these two teams met in the Asia Cup final, being bundled up for 50. And remember, in the World Cup, they got bundled up for 55. So today, it could be 60 all out, and India get them home, and we are here reviewing the game far earlier. Som has something to say about that.
Sri Lanka are so tormented by Siraj that they now have playing their own Mohammad Siraj in the 11. So,
I was just going to allude to that because I thought Sri Lanka made a mistake at the toss saying we're having a debutant called Mohammad Siraj, and I was like, bro, that's our player. But then I think
yeah.
we've
This is
sorted
the
that out.
first time a player with almost similar names are playing in both teams. I mean, good, something very, very difficult for our batsmen to look up.
No, indeed. We'll come to some of the comments and the questions, but I just want to touch upon Sri Lanka now that you brought up Mohammad Shiraz and the rest of the 10 lads with a new captain,
Aha, bhai.
Sri Lanka. And not to forget how they were in the World Cup. So 2023, not too long ago, they didn't really fire well. I can't think of any single good result. They enjoyed that World Cup. Plus, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, I mean, that really doesn't test your caliber as an ODI team. So today, can they really inspire themselves with something, however they get the job done?
I mean, they have to. I mean, the only way to go from here is up as far as Sri Lanka cricket is concerned. Uh, I want them to do well because not only that does it work well for the series, but uh, overall cricket landscape as well. Because I mean, barring T20s, the other two formats are sort of becoming a dominant for the top 4 or 5 teams, which is not ideal, especially when a format like ODI is struggling to find its place in the grander scheme of things. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they do well. I'm surprised that I'm forgetting the name. Uh, Vikramasinghe, the
Yeah,
debutant in the third T20, he
Chaminda,
should,
Chamindu
should
with
have been
Kamasinghe.
Chamindu Vikramasinghe. He should be there in the ODI squad. I know I'm a big proponent of not mixing formats, but this is Sri Lanka we're talking about. It's not that they have a India-sized talent pool. If someone has done well, it's time for them to bleed uh, good performers in other formats directly, especially if they're playing a team like India. I mean, in India, Sri Lanka hardly get to play England, India, Australia anymore. I mean, they had, I mean, what, 10, 12 days of good quality cricket against these teams. So at least players who are doing well at the international level should be pushing them, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, they must have had other thoughts.
And all the more because they had like a plethora of injuries and sicknesses through pretty much their fast bowling arsenal. So they could have probably blooded in the youngster, but who knows? Second and third ODI is still up for grabs. Nix, if you're Jayasuriya, how are you going to approach this with your team batting first? I know it's kind of weather-wise, it's all right for the batters right now, so you'd want to put the opposition in the field because it's hot and humid. 225 is what they're saying the average score here, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, is what the data tells us. How much do you think will be enough, given that Sri Lanka have Velalage, Dhananjaya, and a bunch of other spinners like Hasaranga to trouble us later on?
Yeah, I think see the ODI format allows you to build your innings very very well. It allows you a lot of time, which is something that I hope Sri Lanka take because there is no hurry here. And in the T20s also we saw them getting good starts. So all I think I would tell them is continue to go the same way in terms of how you are starting your innings. But once you get the platform is when the trouble is starting, that you cannot afford quick wickets, and that is something that is happening with Sri Lanka too often. That they lose two very quickly, they lose three very quickly. So uh, they know these conditions as good as anyone does. So get yourself in. Do not chase 250, 300. Just bat yourself into the game. Take a call at say 20 overs, 25 overs. See where you are. See how the pitch is doing. Sometimes if the pitch is raging turn, you see that turn right from the very first second over. Then okay, you are thinking that okay, maybe one end has to attack. But if not, get yourself in. Do not lose out to paces, because that will be disastrous. That if you try and hit the paces out, that oh, spin will take our wickets, so let's hit pace on. Eventually, you get three to Siraj, your game's gone. So get yourself in. 225 being the average score, stay there, stay around that score, because India again, Som's favorite line, have a lot of lighties. There is no lefty in that lineup till Shivam Dube. Get Velal again, get Hasaranga in, get Dhananjay into the game, and you don't know what can happen later. But for now, only focus on getting yourself a very good platform, because that will also put pressure on India. They know that this is going to slow down. So their approach will also change in the second inning. So it's important to stay in the game first.
Yeah, and this pitch apparently was used not too long ago in the LPL qualifier. So it has, of course, got not the fresh tinge, and it will deteriorate, like Nick's mentioned. Greg saying if Sri Lanka can get to 250, 270, the pitch slowing down, they have a chance. Would love to see Jayasuriya to come out and bat if they lose quick 5 wickets, saying Sai Madhav. And that's the thing, right? So you don't want Sri Lanka to have another collapse. And someone like Samara Vikramang, what's his name? 1 second. Sadira. What is it?
Sadira Samara Vikrama.
You were right.
Yeah.
You were right. Yeah.
He's had Siraj nightmares, for example, right? So how can that top order right now go out and just express themselves and preserve wickets? Even if they're 43 for one, they'll take that, I'm guessing.
I mean, so just want to check with Nikhil. I recall Avishka Fernando not playing for a while after the 2019 World Cup, where he was exceptional. So would love to see how he goes about things, because I mean, in that World Cup, I thought that Sri Lanka have identified a new star. It wasn't to be. Maybe this is the second lifeline. I'm looking forward to how he goes.
Yeah, and he had a good LPL as well. But again, batting at a different spot. But the point is you have to do it very often and consistently. So let's see if he can do that.
Yeah, I was just looking at his numbers when you mentioned him right now, because he has a decent average after 38 games. I mean, 31 odd, 300, 750. So, likes of him, likes of Petam Nasanka, who's been prolific. He's scored the most runs, by the way, for any cricketer since 2023. So, he's just an accumulator. We'll take some of the comments. Sudarshan Yadav saying, guys, put some light on the Maharaja Trophy. We will. 15th of August, it'll start. We'll give you some regular updates on Monday Night Live for sure. Still don't know why Kamindu Mendes was demoted to number 5 in T20s, and he played really well at number 3 in the World Cup. Yeah, they have a lot of flexible options in terms of who can come in and bat. Maybe Velalage as well, give him more opportunities with the bat, because we've seen that he can pack a punch before. Tanveer Ahmed, welcome to the chat. How many times have you mentioned this in the comments? Every time you pop on, you say the same thing. I mean, are you his agent, Mashrafi Mortaza? Please let us know. But we'll shout you out nonetheless. Avishka just collects so many ducks and then gets dropped. But again, a new life, like we said. And another comment coming about Avishka was in some form in LPL, should cash in here. Velalage is a decent threat for India. Right, we'll still take some of the comments, which is true. But I still have time for Somesh's predictions, Nikhil's predictions about the score and who they think will end up being highest run getter and wicket taker on the day. So that's something that we're introducing in our previews, as well as some throwback trivia, which is a new one from my side in just a bit. So predictions first, gentlemen. How much do you think Sri Lanka will get? Because we're going to have this as a little count board throughout the series, and let's see who wins it at the end of it. So Sri Lanka's first inning score, please.
Yeah, I mean, tough to see them crossing 200. I would be very happy if they do so. But yeah, as of now, I would predict India chasing somewhere around 180.
Okay. Nikhil?
Yeah, I had 183 in my mind, so I'll stick to 183. Cool.
I'm actually going to go 250
Yes.
because I think Sri Lanka hopefully can just give India something to think about when they come out of bat. And we would love a good chase as well. So those are our predictions. Let us know in the comments. Now, this is August 2nd, 2024, but in August 5th, 2001, there was a Sri Lanka versus India Coca-Cola final in Colombo. And I just want to ask the boys if they remember that. Jayasuriya got a 99. India ended up losing by 121 runs. Do you remember that game? So,
It was in Sri Lanka, 2001.
yeah.
Jayasuriya 99.
Yeah. Jayasuriya got a 99. Seva got him out. And there were everyone that you can think of. Adupatu, Jayawardene, Russell Arnold got 52. Zach got him out. And in response, we didn't have Sachin playing that particular tournament. Do you remember that one? We had like VVS Lakshman, Dravid, Badani,
Yeah,
Yuvraj, Zampi.
that's all I remember. That Lakshman played at three. For like he
So
played in the
was this the series? Was this triangular series where Sehwag got the fastest 100 against New Zealand?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
India. I think India were down to 19 for 5 or something in this game.
correct. Exactly. I mean,
इतना
no,
याद है भाई मतलब
they were basically in a spot of bother, but they just
See,
folded.
there was this 119 for 5 in this entire try series. I don't know, and I think it was maybe India against New Zealand, but there was one point where there was a score of 19 for 5, and it is just stuck in my memory. And every time I see India playing a tough game, I'm like, hopefully they reduce the opposition to 19 for 5.
India, New Zealand is a thing of the past. Let it be there only.
No, but that was the tri series that you were talking about, and our lower batting order was just absolute shambles because we had young Yuvraj Singh, I think, who did well in one of the games this series. And then there was Ritinder Singh Sodhi, Sami Digge, who kept wickets, Harbhajan, Zach, and Nehra. So
My
that was
Sodhi was some player. He was the best of in the Hong Kong Super Sixes. Also, he's the legend there.
no, indeed. And you know who partnered the bowling with Murli as a spinner for Sri Lanka that day? I mean, there was
Arnold.
obviously Jayasuriya and Arnold, but the man that I was alluding to is an umpire nowadays.
Dharamsena.
Yeah, good old
Oh,
Dharamsena. That
Easy
happened
है.
literally 23, 24 years ago, but we're going to give you more throwback trivia on this cricket.com preview. But good to see all you guys in the comments. We'll quickly take some of them before the first ball happens out there in Colombo. Australia, truly Asia, good to see you. Please like this video as well. All you guys jumping on and join us in the review. We're going to be doing it for all the ODIs this series. I think it'll be an easy win for India today, reckons Australia, truly Asia. India, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, nice try series, by the way, it was, even though there was no Sachin in it. Do a trip series with Bangladesh. We might be doing some plans there with the Women's World Cup up and about. And thoughts on Pant getting dropped, saying Sai Madhav. I mean, I think it's good. You mentioned it, Som, in your opening piece, that good to see them sticking with the World Cup runners-up boys.
It's fair. It's fair as well because no one of the World Cup 11, except maybe for Sky, did anything to get dropped. So they've stuck to that. They've given everyone an opportunity, and it keeps a reality check on Pant as well. I mean, let's be very honest. It's not like he's brought the house down in T20 cricket anywhere. And he was never a regular part of the ODI setup even before the World Cup. So it's only fair. I don't think he's dropped. He was never in contention. He would have been selected. So I wouldn't call it a drop.
Okay, fair enough. Meanwhile, Gaurav and Tripathi Singh Somesh Pai as confident as Belgians are on their hockey team. I mean, I was watching some of the Olympics last night. Very random sports. I was watching the men's doubles between Great Britain and the US, and that was something phenomenal because Andy Murray played his last.
If you really want to watch random things, just watch surfing.
Surfing was brilliant.
उसको चला के छोड़ दो बस.
In fact, I saw Spain, Japan, and it was crazy tidal waves. It was madness. But
You should check out that Brazilian guy whose photos going viral.
Yeah, and then I saw another beach volleyball game as well. So the Olympics has just hooked me for sure. By the way, we keep you hooked in terms of all the cricket content as well. There's a reason why you guys should tune in to all our live shows because we shout out your names and we take everyone's comment and make them feel much felt. Tanveer, thank you for that. And it is honest truth. He's spitting facts. We've not told him to say that, but he's just saying that. So we are more popular than a certain crick info. Right, so we've given our predictions. The batters out there in the middle. There is cloud cover, but I don't think there will be rain initially. If there's any updates, you can catch it on cricket.com and download the app now, guys. What are you waiting for? Because there's so much you can do in that space. Nikhil, Som, thank you so much for your time. I don't think we'll see Som later, but we will get him some point in time in the series. But until the next time we see Som, it's goodbye to him and Nikhil. Good luck to all you ODI fans, because this is the time we need to resuscitate, make out with this sport. Cheers.